we can talk to humans, right? Like you and me can talk. Do I have any control over you? No. And if someone else is imposing control on another being, that to me is not ethical. And so animal communication is about the relationship, but it's not control.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Reinforce the Horse. Today I'm with Katherine Luna Sol, and Katherine is an animal communicator and quantum energy healer for animals with certifications in the Tucker Biokinetic Technique, 7 Claire Gifts, Emotion Code, Reiki, Mystery School, and experience with the Masterson Method. She also created her own method of psychosomatic healing for animals called the Antidote. Katherine, hi. Welcome back to Reinforce the Horse. I know we've had you on in the past and we had a wonderful conversation. I'm so excited to have you back here and um yeah, really happy to talk with you today. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. I'm so happy to be back here. And it's so wonderful to see your beautiful face.
Likewise, it's amazing. It's been some time since we've had a podcast, so you are actually my first guest back in some time.
I'm so
And
excited.
it's really exciting. I know you've had a lot going on the past, really, since the last time we talked. There's been a lot of evolutions in your work and in your life. And I'm really curious to hear about the method that you created called the Antidote. Can you give us a bit of information on what that is and how it came to be?
Yes, I would love to. Um, the antidote is my version of psychosomatic healing for animals. So when I look at a horse's or a dog's, a cat, whatever animal I'm working on, whatever species, it's like their sacrum or their imbalances or just their energy around them will say, hey, this is the issue I'm holding on. This is the belief system this goes with. This is the emotion. This is the story I need to release in order for these vertebrae to align. And it's like, oh my goodness, okay. So the first part is identifying the story. Awareness has the power to shift so much. Hearing the story, listening to them, having that voice and feeling heard and seen also takes away that emotional charge that you could say from the experience. And when we get that story, let's say the belief system was, I'm bad. This is actually something I see show up in performance horses often, thinking that, in their developmental years, that if they didn't do something right, they didn't perform correctly, they were bad. And so I'll go in, and usually that is going to be found in like their lumbar, their sacrum area, right where the saddle pretty much sits. So I go ahead, clear out that belief system, clear out the root of maybe it's the emotions or the experience, and there's just kind of some energy dislodged in there, clear it out. And I go, what is the antidote to that? I am good. We get that in there. We drop in some I am good. I'm pure. I'm holy. I'm worthy. I'm deserving. Whatever that animal needs in that moment. It is unique to them. They're going to have their own language, their own frequency that resonates with them the most. And so my job is to stay the clearest vessel and conduit channel in order to hear what their problem is and what they need. And the antidote is my way of getting to the root cause and fixing it completely in that moment. Because the art of neutrality is that when something becomes neutral to us, say we've gone through a negative experience or a trauma, even a poor relationship with someone. If we no longer want that situation or trauma to have power over us, the goal is to get to neutrality. And you don't get to neutrality by abandoning your victimized parts or ignoring those voices or disowning your own shadow. You have to go to those places, be able to sit with them, and help them realize that even in their darkest points, we're all still made of light. So something I will do to explain how to go from a very extreme, dense or dark type of experience into, okay, how do I heal this? How do I make it neutral? How do I let go of it? And this is for humans, and then this is what I do for animals. But it's the same process as if you were to ho'oponopono your worst experiences. Have you heard of that? The ho'oponopono prayer? Oh, you're going to love it.
No, I've not heard of it.
It is a Hawaiian prayer, and I may mess up the order, but I kind of go with what I feel is best in the moment. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. And you just repeat, and the alchemy that it offers, like, oh my goodness. So I would say an experience where I really had to let go of myself and ask for my divinity to take over, because my human self was like, I can't get myself out of the situation. I don't know how to do it. I felt very betrayed by someone I valued. I really, really had high hopes, and the situation felt more like betrayal when it kind of came to a close. And so sitting there, I had to realize the only way to make this neutral and drop in the antidote so that it doesn't have power over me in the future is to pretty much just ho'oponopono it. So this can be, if you have gone through an experience where, there's an abuser. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. And the point is to do that to yourself. Because we can be kind of mad at ourselves for getting ourselves in the situation. There might be a little self-blame, as humans, maybe a little self-hatred. So it's going back to our darkest parts, our most victimized parts, our most abandoned parts. And thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, I forgive you. And that, as many times as you need to say it, as many days you got it, as many what you just continually find ways to love and call home those parts of yourself deeper and deeper. And that is what I do for animals. So I will hold space and sit with their darkest parts, their saddest parts. I think I love it so much with a lot of very, very kind horses. And this is kind of the same wound that shows up in humans as well. We think that feeling anger would make us a bad person. Or if I get angry, I might be bad. Anger is an emotion that radiates through the whole body. Not all emotions do that. And so what's scary about anger is it actually makes us feel like we don't have control of ourselves. And that's usually because in Kundalini Yoga, you may have even done one of these practices, but there's an exercise where you punch the air in a rhythmic way with breathing. And that is because as anger runs through our body, that's how it needs to be released. So that is why so many people, I'm so mad I gotta punch something. It's because the body is like, oh my gosh, I need to release this. This is so overwhelming. So recently there was a saint of a horse I worked with, and he had gone through a lot of unfair experiences. And so he's like, I'm just so mad. I am livid because injustices did happen to him. And I said, that's okay. Let's feel it. And just the acceptance of like, oh, okay, well, I'm not that mad anymore. I feel so accepted. Thank you so much, Oh, or oh, there's no judgment on this. I don't need to judge it. No, you're good. What boundaries do you want from that? These ones. Okay, cool. I'll tell your mom.
So you're holding space for him to feel his feelings and know that he's being acknowledged and know that those feelings are like he doesn't have to suppress them for any longer.
No.
Hmm.
No. And so that's going to give you that level of healing, that depth is going to show up in so many situations that you wouldn't even think, because if there's not such a intensely charged root cause belief system or emotion in there, let's just use a spook as an example. He sees something, let's say he does his biggest spook ever. There's no longer that very, very dense and overwhelming trapped energy within him. So it's like his new baseline has improved significantly just because there's no longer that intense, deep fear. There is a level of security and safety in the body now by calling those parts of himself home and being whole, that he brings it into his every single moment.
I'm hearing that there's a sense of you helping him tap into his true self, his sovereignty, to essentially be able to heal what is needed, like the darkness, to bring balance into what needs to come out of his being, into more light and more love. And
Absolutely.
before we started this conversation, you mentioned to me a bit about the balancing of the masculine and feminine energies, and that I've been thinking about that as you've been talking about this method. Can you talk a bit about how consciously balancing the masculine and feminine energies go into this work?
Yes. So when I look at the body, I see the left side as feminine and the right side as masculine. So let's say we're working on a horse. If they're carrying more weight on their left side, and it's different for everyone, so this is more just, it's a good example, that can let me know that there is an imbalance with the masculine side not carrying enough weight. And this can be metaphorical, this can be physical, but then I'm going to break it down into even smaller particles to get to that root system. So I think of energy as smaller than even a subatomic particle. I mean, what you look through in a microscope, smaller than that. And that's where I'm working at the root cause. That's where it's not an injection, obviously, but that's where I'm putting in the antidote so that we can heal at that super root cause. So the body's story will tell me things as far as, okay, so you need to feel safer. Your masculine side isn't holding enough weight for you to feel fully balanced and safe. Okay, what do you need to feel safer here? And the very complex part of the work is, and I learned this through my own journey, learning about the soul contracts and the very complex energetic dynamic between the human and the horse. So seeing that imbalance in the body, I will address it in multiple ways for the animal. And if the animal says they need this, if they're like, hey, woman, give this to my mom, they will share some insight of how their human can step into their own sovereignty so that the animal is no longer needing to reflect the issues back to the human to get the message across. So I will hook each individual up to their own sovereign self, and it happens very naturally, but honoring the dark and the light sides of each of these beings so that we can transmute that darkness and realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm not that bad. That was just kind of my judgment of myself. Oh, whoa. Very mind-opening, very takes a lot of weight off the heart, and a huge amount of self-acceptance and self-love and self-compassion plays into all of that. So I see the animal's energetic patterns or blueprint reflecting back to the human their own issues. And I say issues, and I know there's solutions, so that's why I think of it I'm so hopeful about it, because I will then get that human to the resources that their animal's like, hey, can my mom have this? I'm like, absolutely. And the personal journey and transformation that comes along with working with me has continually blown my mind. I have clients who you text me at 6 a.m. and go, I think I talked to my horse last night. And I'm like, of course you did. I have a really cool client. She is all the way on the East Coast, saying, hey, I just spoke with a spider. And it thanked me for not killing it. I'm like, absolutely. I couldn't expect the results that I get. I think it's so exciting. One animal only wanted me to work on his left side. And I just went very intuitively, let me respect your boundaries. I always ask for consent. 3 of my principles that I always work from are asking for consent, honoring free will, and do no harm. And that's very much just kind of what I do my best to live by. And the animals really, really appreciate that kind of emotional congruency. I'm just going to get all over the place here. But that is the emotional congruency is kind of your level of presence that you're able to offer the animal. So how can you be in control of anything if you can't even control yourself? And this means emotionally. This is talking about nervous system regulation, emotional intelligence. And when you have embodied those light and dark parts of yourself and worked through them to find, the victimized child that needed to be loved in order to transmute into now a more balanced state where your dark isn't that dark. Maybe you can even find the beauty in your dark. You know that you can be fully in your dark and you're not going to harm anyone or yourself. You know that you're going to find the light and you're going to transmute this. And it's like being in the dark will let you actually see how much light you truly are. Because I feel like when we listen to all those wounded parts of ourselves, we start to say, oh, you know what? Girl, I love you. Thank you for sharing that. But I just realized that's not the truth of you. Like, you actually are worthy. Isn't that cool? And this part is like, I'll come home. Sweet. And so it's so much fun and it's so unexpected and it's so complex. And with the human-animal dynamic, it's very important for me to work on the soul contracts that we have with our animals so that we're not destined for suffering and sacrifice, that we can learn true sovereignty and empowerment through joy and pleasure, through fun experiences and miracles, through blessings and healthy relationships. So it just needs a rewiring. And that's some of what I do in the Antidote.
That's beautiful. And so I'm hearing so much in this. There's a sense of acknowledgement for the animal and for the animal's emotions, acknowledging what they're going through, no matter how deep and dark they feel like no matter how deep and dark they feel like their experience is, and then helping them work through injecting a positive or inviting in a more positive anecdote into what is needing to into the wound that is needing to be healed, and inviting that medicine to go and heal that somatic part of that body, and then also bringing a sense of balance to energetic their energetic being. I mean, balancing their masculine and feminine, and also allowing them to express to you what they need in their relationships or their connections with their person.
Yes. Yes. So improved connection is one of the results that continues to blow my mind. The horse that only wanted me to work on his left side. I had originally gone there to work on the stay apparatus to help him with suspensory ligament issues. That was my goal. And when I get there, he goes, "No, I don't want that." I'm like, "Okay, what do you want?" And he's like, "Just work on my left side." Okay, sounds good. I work on his left side. I was not told he had any behavior issues before this. He's a good guy. I'm in there with him working on him. He's a good guy. And I do my work. I go, you know what? I'm going to trust that what he said about his boundaries of just wanting to be worked on one side is in honor of his nervous system. And the nervous system can only receive the amount of healing that it really feels safe with. So as the nervous system feels safer, and that is how talking to those, let's say, dark parts, but the parts of them that they kind of abandon, allows them to really come back home and be in their body and feel safer. So it's like each layer is that addition of safety. And for this guy, that was all he needed for the day. I'm like, sounds good. Thank you so much. About 2 hours later, I get a text from my client and she goes, "He's like a different horse. He's not pinning. He's happy to see me. He's focused." I'm like, I only worked on half of him. I wanted to work on all of him. And I could have never expected that. And it was just, I had happy tears because I get so excited for my clients. I really see their success with their animals as my success, and I just light up about it.
Wow. So just after one session, he was able to, he felt safe enough to express a better, positive, lighter, more engaging version of himself to his person.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and by coming home to his body again, which is where that somatic piece works, comes into play. And then the psychosomatic part of it is listening to that story, hearing that story, no abandoned part left behind. And for him, when I look at an animal, I get my notebook, that's how I channel through the best. And I will have 20 pages written down in my notebook from a 2 or 3 hour session. And it's incredible the amount of information that comes through. And I don't know what is the piece that is going to offer them the biggest shift. So I just want to show up fully and be in full service to them in that moment. And so I just let him talk. Just tell me whatever you got to say. I will write it down. Let me know what you want me to tell your mom. Let me know what you want to just be between us because you're working on it. It's incredible. And I think many healers can relate to this, but the depth that a healer goes to heal on their own wounds is the depth of healing you can offer another. And I also say this when I'm speaking about how we connect with our animals, but the level of connection we have with ourselves is the level of connection we're able to have with our animals. And that's how I see the personal journey and transformation guided by their animal coming together to work magic like my logical mind couldn't understand, couldn't expect.
Yeah, connection. I feel this on a very energetic level right now. Having the having the courage to go deeper within the self and healing our wounds. It takes a lot, and I know you and many of our listeners, and I mean we're all on our journeys, but it's not easy to look within ourselves and say, I want to heal. I'm going to take the step and heal. And then the healing journey is this massive experience of light and dark and light and dark and the waves, the ups and downs. And it's really beautiful to me that you brought up the connection, like, or the ability to go within and heal is reflected outwards to how we experience our connection with our animals.
Yes. Yes. I think it's got to be just kind of imprinted or a blueprint in my soul, but going within and looking at every aspect of me, dark and light, generationally, ancestrally, everywhere. It's kind of my obsession. I'm all about it. I for 6 years, I didn't really understand why I was so, you could say, hell-bent on looking at every part of me and healing every part of me. And it is eternal, right? I'm an eternal student. I'm not going to be done. But it's balanced out so much more. And I feel that my divine self put me through 6 years of studying this work and integrating it and embodying it. And that's why I'm able to offer the level of healing that I am. Because a mentor, a teacher, a healer who has embodied the work offers a level of presence and authority. And this is authentic authority. Not authority like society might say, but authority meaning safety. I'm a safe person. Or, kind of like capybara. I got inner peace in here. The external's not going to waver it. I got this. This is mine. I created it. And now I'm safe within myself. And so I can offer this level of emotional congruency. And my presence has that value because I brought those pieces home. And that is what, especially our horses, but all animals, look for in their leader. Like, let's put quotations around leader because I'm so not into the leader. Oh my gosh. So against the dominance and whatnot. And the leadership, I'm like, I'm going to have to preface that. But I think of it as the true alpha or the lead-mare. So in the wild, the lead-mare, and I'll get to the true alpha second, but the lead-mare is not going to be what we have thought as the most aggressive one or the bossiest one. She is going to be the one who has the most inner security and the most in tune with her natural instincts so that she can feel her entire environment and go, okay, danger to the east, let's go to the west. It is being in touch with one's sensitivities and vulnerabilities that is actual authority. It is actual safety. Because if you can be vulnerable and sensitive and aware and energetically in tune, you are the most, I was going to say most knowledgeable, but I hope it's just the most in tune with your environment and not just physically. So yes, your lead mare is going to set boundaries because that's what healthy relationships do. But a silly example of this is a wild horse is never going to wake up and say, oh boy, today I would love to put on a mask and pretend to be something different than my authentic self, right? How would that serve them in the wild? It's not good, not good. No. Humans, however, do that often. We go, hey, what mask am I going to put on today to, get X, Y, and Z, whatever the goal is. So that lack of congruency or kind of lack of integrity with oneself is what an animal looks at in a human and goes, that's kind of fishy. That doesn't feel so safe. There's a discrepancy there. I can see inside you're vulnerable, you're a little scared, you maybe have some anxiety, but outwardly you're showing me puffed up chest, harshness, roughness, and kind of this egoic set. And this animal's like, which one are you? Who am I? Who? I don't get it. I also describe emotional congruency as, well, I ask this question, are you the same person to your animal if they get the question right or wrong? So if your horse does not do what you want, are you going to now, maybe it's not consciously, but now are you going to go, oh my gosh, I'm so upset, I'm taking that personally. How dare they, and now get defensive. And to me, I call that kind of like a predatory state. When horses are peacekeepers, they're just giving us messages for us to either work on ourselves or to help them. In all situations, they are figuring out, how can I make the situation better?
Taking a horse for as an example, they're these 1,000-pound beings with so much power. They have so much power, yet they don't want to control us as humans. There's such this, I feel like, this dichotomy in the world that I hope is coming more and more into love and security and kindness and like recognition of what the horse collective is going through so that we can hear them. But like, I totally feel what you're saying about like that emotional congruency, like being emotionally stable within the self to be able to see and acknowledge a no just as much as a yes can be seen and acknowledged. And then doesn't that help bind a connection between two beings, whether that's humans or a horse human or a horse to horse?
Yes. Even let's give what would this look like in real life? If you have built a relationship of consistency with your horse that has shown them, I'm a safe person. Whether you get the answer wrong or right, I'm a safe person. It's going to be okay. Am I going to look for a different way to explain something? Yes. Am I going to, find, okay, you don't want to turn to the left today. Oh, probably because your C4 through C7 neck vertebrae are out of alignment. Let me help you not be in pain. Oh, 2 days after processing, you love that direction. It's all messages. I don't see it as defiance. It's all, I kind of say, conflict is an invitation for connection. And I love that you brought up control, because with animal communication, I think that it is an abuse of power to go against an animal's consent. If they say, hey, I don't want that shared, or, hey, my nervous system's at capacity today. I know you'd like to do my full body, but please don't. And I am so sensitive and honoring of that they don't have to have that conversation with me. It's like, oh, I just felt a little shift. Hey, do you want me to keep going? And I ask yes or no. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Love you, bless you. And then their soul has their own processing and transformation. With animal communication, it's not about control. It's very funny when someone says, oh, my horse just won't get in the trailer. Can you tell them to get in? We can talk to humans, right? Like, you and me can talk. Do I have any control over you? No. And if someone else is imposing control on another being, that to me is not ethical. And so animal communication is about the relationship, but it's not control. And I think that is a level of congruency and safety that when you embody it and you're in that flow and you can be sovereign and surrender, that is really when an animal is like, oh, I feel very safe in your presence. Well, let me talk about these wounds from weaning, these wounds from year 2. That one time I didn't get as much hay as I thought I was, and I felt neglected. Like, okay, cool, let me hold you. A lot of our animals, and this is with humans as well, but experience something as a core trauma or core wound, and it's not what we would have logically thought of, like, oh yeah, I remember that experience. That's what happened there. Because just like humans, maybe something just hit the wound just right in that moment. And all you need to do is heal it. Get the antidote in there. Hear the story, get the antidote, be present. Your presence is value, and it can shift. So it's a lot of allowing the divine to work through me as a channel and letting go and surrendering and seeing how surrender is the most effective way for the deepest level of healing to be received.
I'm kind of speechless right now that the use of that word, especially surrender, has been coming up so much in my personal life. It's one of those things that I've been contemplating, like, okay, what does that mean? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And in listening to you talk, I'm kind of being brought to, like, remembering certain times with my herd, with Willow, where she would tell me, like, hey, I'm afraid of that. And as in a training session, as this, as a trainer, it's my job to help teach her that said scary thing is not going to eat her, but in a polite way that also acknowledges her to, in a lot of ways, surrender to and surrender that fear in the way that she knows that she's being held and supported, so that eventually the scary thing isn't so scary anymore. It takes a lot not to force them to let go, and by them I mean horses. Using this analogy, there's a lot of control that is often used that just shuts them down rather than allowing them to feel and let go and surrender to the fact that, A, I am afraid. And then with the acknowledgement of I am afraid comes the confidence of, wait, I don't have to be afraid because you are holding space for that fear. Am I tracking my ideas right?
Yeah, and with the acceptance of it, you go ahead and transmute it, and then you bring in that antidote and embody it.
And then that embodies your being, and then it embodies their being.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like the darkness just fades.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
it's beautiful.
And as we make the changes within our own energy, it's like we have given them an instruction manual or a blueprint for them to look at. And they go, oh, okay, cool. So now I'll go ahead and release those things. Oh, okay. Mom's no longer holding extra tension in her right shoulder. Okay, that was the belief there. That was the emotion. That was the experience. Okay. I am worthy. I'm deserving of love. Okay, transmuted. Oh, okay. I'll let go of it in my shoulder now. Seems like we're good.
Wow. It's so beautiful how they mirror us as well, like how they, and you're seeing this in your work, how like both the human and the horse involved are like so connected, energetically connected in that way, which brings me to my next, I guess, idea of, again, before we started the recording, you'd mentioned having an interest uh, in energy research and how that is evolving in the scientific way. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that and how it is related to your work.
Yeah. I think that research in energy medicine could offer us, well, it does offer us solutions to what Western medicine can't detect yet. So, I have so many examples, and it's so fun because I know before we even spoke about the different research that's actually going on, things at UCLA. In Sweden, they actually have worked with biotensors, I hope I'm saying that correctly, to measure the energetic field. And at UCLA, there was a neurophysicist who, I wish I could remember her name right now. Let's link it. We'll link it somewhere so she can get credit. Who was able to correlate numerical values with aura readings. And scientists call the aura the biofield. We can also talk about it as the electromagnetic field. And if you think about the health and well-being of a body, the more dense or lower vibration it is, the more easily it can get sick. It attracts kind of the same vibration. And when we think of density, you can also think of like, that's going to show up as like stiff muscles, achy bones, healing, raising the vibration, putting those antidotes in there. That's kind of like WD-40 for everything. WD-40 for the body, for the mind, for the heart, the soul, the spirit. My business is called Divine Grace Animal Healing and Communication, and it really is. It's like, okay, Divine Grace is that WD-40. The one I work with just happens to be quantum physics instead of actual WD-40 that you can pick up at Home Depot. And it's organic, shall I say. But that is how we move through that body and release those densities. And when I do work with the emotion code, this is a great example. There are plenty of places online. You can just Google it up, say like frequency chart of the emotions. And it's going to give you an actual Hertz value for the different emotions. So you could do joy, acceptance. Shame is going to be about your lowest. And shame is about 40 Hertz depending on what you're looking at. Acceptance, I can't remember the exact Hertz, but it goes up increasingly as you get more positive and light. And the higher the vibration or the frequency is, the more in alignment you are with optimal health. You're happier because there's not that much density in there. And happiness is just the after effect of coming home to yourself and getting those antidotes into those where your heart might be hardened a little bit, where your bones are creaky and sticky, where you're carrying more weight on the left side of your sacrum rather than more balanced. You can see this in very achy hocks. You're going to see things show up in the neck and the whole body that have a story to be told, heard, processed, validated, and let go of. And the antidote fills that space with that higher vibration, with the higher numerical value that's going to be more in alignment with a happier and healthy life. One of the things that we're beginning to talk more about, which I love, is how soul contracts can affect our animals and our relationship. And we can go from a more negative type of contract with the suffering and change it, transmute it into the love and empowerment through ease and joy. And that shifts our entire reality into such a higher, we say frequency and vibration, and it really is, I think everyone has experienced energy in their life. There's a couple exercises, like even just taking your hands together and rubbing them to create friction. When you get a little heat in there, when you get that friction, you pull it apart and just kind of, I can feel it right now, just like this. That is energy. Yeah, warm those babies up. And then kind of go back in and just play with it a little bit. That's energy right there.
Yeah, I can totally feel it. Like I can totally feel it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'll do it and then I'll put specific intentions in it. And you can feel how that's going to change the frequency, the vibration of it.
So, and then putting in, okay, so using this energy that is able to be felt here, it can be directed anywhere, even if you're not standing. Like, say, if you want to direct it to, if you want to direct it to a horse with a, like stiff hocks or something,
Mm-hmm.
can you direct it while you're sitting in the comfort of your own home and it still reach him?
Yes, absolutely. And that is something that I learned years ago from my own experience with quantum healing. And I did used to work on animals only in person. And then I realized, especially with being hypoglycemic and just really needing to balance my blood sugar, but I was able to work so much more in depth remotely. And it also allows me to help so many more animals, from West Coast to East Coast, internationally. You can, healers, empaths, light workers, you can work your light globally now. We have access to so much more. It's so rich and wonderful. And so I use the hand rubbing exercise to just kind of show how accessible energy is, that it's right here. It's not a woo-woo term. It's right here. And we can learn how to work with it, or we can not work with it, and then it kind of controls our own life. But the animals I work with are always asking their humans to step into their power so that the energy is not really controlling us. We're now co-creating. We're now going, you know what? I would actually like a little bit more love in my life. And they take them on that journey to show them how. And it's through healing. It's through getting the antidote to the hard parts. It's calling everything home, balancing internally. The research in energy medicine I would like to do in the world is to increase the quality of life that we can provide our animals. So I've seen this in multiple ways, as far as I'm actually working on a horse tomorrow who has Cushing's, and the sweet girl has been tested about every other month for 6 months for Cushing's, because she has consistently needed to increase her dose of Percend, which is the pharmaceutical medicine they give to horses with Cushing's. And that tells us right there, something's not working optimally. And what I can do I use the Tucker biokinetic technique to work on organs, and then I apply the antidote wherever it's needed. But I can actually work on that thyroid, so I can remotely from anywhere in the world, I can tap into that animal's energy field. And I've worked on multiple animals where I looked at the thyroid function and I'll feel it and I go, oh, are they hyperthyroid? Yeah, how'd you know? They've been having a hard time losing weight or putting on weight. And oh, because this thyroid feels like, and then if I'm on a hypothyroid, it's not functioning as fast as it should, or as in flow. Fast is not the right word, but that's how I feel it. It's kind of like this slow, sludgy molasses. And I'll go, okay, what is your optimal? At 100% working, what do you feel like? And I get this beautiful flow, very much grace, and then, okay, what are you today? And it's like, or, I'm like, okay. So I will work with a few acupressure points. I call them like source points or major pinpoints. And you connect with the body's innate wisdom to heal itself. And this is part of the Tucker biokinetic technique, where you connect those, you can call them voices, they're, whatever, but the parts of the body, and say, hey, remember how you actually have everything within your being to be able to rebalance and connect with yourself? Let's go ahead and bring it over to this part of your body and let's just see what happens, okay? And so I connect them, and it is so cool when I'll get through maybe half the skeleton and the animal goes, thanks for the reminder, I remember. And so now we're working together on their skeleton and I can feel them. It's almost like if my hand were to be now guided by them, even more physically in a way. But now I can feel them go, oh, yep, they just clicked into that. And the session goes from, maybe my first one takes 3 hours and it's always different, but maybe the second one, it takes 2 hours now. Because when I click in, the animal goes, oh, thanks so much, let's do it. And it's just zooming through there. And they can start to, just like that instruction manual or energetic blueprint, now they can start to also self-heal. So everything I do, I want to fix and heal at the root cause. And I also want to create self-sustainable healing. I want to empower owners, moms, cahoos, dads, whatever you want to go by, because healing is something that should happen all the time, not just in our session. So I'm going to show up fully and be fully in service, but I also want to offer tools and resources so that we can continue to heal and really reach optimal healing, optimal well-being.
So you mentioned sustainable, like creating a sense of sustainable healing so that it continues. Is this more in the line of like teaching the person, their handler, their mom, their dad, whoever is the owner of the animal, to help them heal, or more in the way that instructs the animal itself to be able to continue this healing after their sessions? Okay.
Both. So because of the depth I have gone in my healing, and I say this with the humility of knowing that I will always be able to go deeper and that I will always be healing, because I want to be in the greatest level of service that I can, but without sacrificing myself, which I think is this kind of like new blend of healed healer type of mindset, rather than thinking we need to give. It's giving from a full cup. So my energetic blueprint, my instruction manual, is going to offer the animal tools and resources. So there was a Mustang that I worked on, and Mustangs have incredible energy, but if they've been domesticated and gone through the trauma of a roundup or a gather, they have pretty much the same trapped emotions to release from every single roundup. And it is terror, panic, horror, forlorn, lost. A stallion who is then gilded feels so deeply responsible for not being able to keep their herd safe. And so that's really that will create a hard shell, as you can imagine. I mean, I got goosebumps all over, but that creates that hard shell. And they're like, no, I don't want to receive energy. I just want to numb myself. And in that session with that particular Mustang, by me showing up with my blueprint and my energetic instruction manual, I was able to remind him that he is safe to receive, and to but it's not just mental. It's an integration. It's an embodiment of this remembrance. And so I helped him embody, oh, the earth is literally, Mother Earth here is literally here to help me heal. All this garbage I've been holding on to, I can release it. They're my little Legos. I can just let it roll off me. It's amazing. When I asked my horse, so I have now Lily, when I asked her, how do you forgive so well? She was so dang cute. She was only like 5 months old. Just this little infinitely wise, gorgeous Mustang. And she goes, like this. And she just does a little shimmy, and this is in my mind's eye. It's not her physical being, but like this. And it just dropped immediately into the earth and transmuted. Just like a little shimmy. And it's like, oh, wow. And seeing that and learning how to embody that and going through those processes is what allowed me to, in very difficult situations where maybe I had been hurt, or maybe someone intentionally wanted to hurt me, or just we go through these life experiences and, in some parts, everyone's going to have their own perspective. So we can, in some parts, it can be like, oh, maybe I was a villain in that person's perspective, oh, I was a victim there. There's so many ways to look at it, but just look at that and hopo-ono it. Get in the antidote. If I'm in a situation where I just keep coming back to this one memory because it was so difficult, and I thought, okay, if I don't let go of these stories with these people who have abused me, I'm afraid that it's going to be with me my whole life. And I just honor myself more than those stories. Maybe I'm so mad about that stuff. And with anger, it's like anger has a message. You don't want to stay in anger, but it has a message, and usually it's to set some boundaries, and not in a mean way, but in a very self-loving way, and a way that helps maintain healthy relationships. So that instead of things getting bottled up or built up, it's like the absolute antidote of that is learning I'm safe to use my voice, and I can even use it gently, and it's respected. And so I have been through trauma in my life, and so I'm using this example with forgiving abusers because it was a heavy lesson. It was a heavy, on my knees, outside, with the horses, looking up at a full moon, saying, there's got to be a higher purpose to this. And it just turned into hopo-onoing the abusers and realizing maybe they abused because at some way they felt very, very victimized. They must have felt fear as well. And this is such a topic. I mean, we could do a whole thing on this. But if you can do that and get to a space of neutrality, and it doesn't mean that you let these people back into your lives, but you let go of the energetic story so that you are free from it to move forward instead of holding it and it's your story forever. And maybe recreating the trauma because that's no fun. It's really this deep inner alchemization of really tricky stuff, and the easiest way to get through it was, what's the antidote? Okay, I'm feeling rage. What's my antidote? What's the opposite of rage? Let's do joy. How could I change this to joy? Ooh, well, if someone in this experience, it was kind of a business type relationship, but if that person felt that way about me, that means they saw my power. That means they saw how magical I was. Oh, confidence boost. How cool is this? Thank you for teaching me how powerful I am. I love you. Because I realized that I myself maybe have been through experiences where I felt afraid. And it comes from a place of needing to be healed. So I love you. I love myself. And it's okay if it takes time on being able to say those things and it feels very in flow. Because really, if you say it to yourself, since we are all connected, we all are one, it is going to transmute. And it might not work on the logical mind, but it gets there. And so it is a practice. And whenever it's the hardest thing, antidote. What's the antidote? Integrate the antidote into my body, drop it in, embody it. Okay, live that way now. But you have to identify and be aware and go through the process and not abandon the parts of yourself that you're afraid to look at. Because you can't call an abandoned piece home by abandoning it.
So, I love that in so many ways. Just, it sounds like it's a journey through acceptance. So accepting what is, accepting, say in this case, like a dark feeling, a negative experience, something that we humans would clarify or classify as negative experience, accepting that it happened, accepting that it is in all of what it is, accepting that our bodies still can feel that, and then taking it and giving it somewhere else to be, letting it go and healing that part of the body through the antidote, through the healing, the medicine. Do you feel like the earth helps to, I guess, take back or take away or heal the negative?
Yes. I love that this kind of brings us back to the science component. But grounding, Mother Earth, feet on the grass. There's grounding blankets. There's all wonderful things, right? Even like I use a back on track blanket sometimes on windy days because the magnets also have the same grounding effect on our energy. But it is the negative ions that actually help us release. So I want to leave the listeners a few tips before we close up the podcast. And one of them is so simple. It's so easy. All you have to do, a magnet will work also, but all you have to do is get a stainless steel spoon and just rub the bottom of your bare feet for maybe 30 seconds each. And then if you want to, go ahead and do your spine, do your root chakra, your lower back, and you're changing your energy by bringing those negative ions in, and it actually just calms all those particles. It's very cool.
That's cool.
Super easy grounding.
So cool.
Just carry a spoon around with you.
I love that.
And I will do that. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it sounds like it's a creative way to, like, I guess, bring out the negativity.
Yeah. For some people it's easier or harder. Just everyone works differently. It's like learning different learning styles. But for some people, if I say, okay, let's bring up like that beautiful kind of terracotta-y, like red clay dirt color. Let's go ahead and bring that up through our feet, through our ankles, up to our knees, okay, all the way in those sits bones, up in this root. They can feel that. So the feeling is that embodying part, and that will work for them. And some it's like, no, that doesn't even make sense. No way. And that's where the spoon trick is so dang easy. And with an animal, if I do the emotion code, I also I will use a magnet or a spoon or just my hand. But even if you're not doing the emotion code, an easy way to ground your animal's energy is take that stainless steel metal spoon, and if they'll tolerate it up on their pole, you're going to go from the pole down their spine. I would do it maybe an inch or two off of their spine so it's not right on top. And you just go around slowly and follow it to their tail, go on down. And I like it to touch the dirt, because that for me is I'm really bringing it to Mama Earth. I'm saying, hey girl, help me out here, get this. And then I'll just do 10 times. 10 swipes there. You can even do the other side. And it really shifts them.
Wow.
It's very cool.
That's awesome. I would love to see that, like, in action.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. If I show up at the barn and I see a dysregulated nervous system, or we're going to be like, a little spooky, our eyes are a little wider than normal, I will instantly clear their energy, ground their energy, and then I have a couple nervous system regulation tips that I will also use. When I was going to school at Davis, I used to deliver baby horses at night. I would sleep in a barn and deliver baby racehorses. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh. And Dr. Madigan, that is where he created his method called the Madigan squeeze. And it's the same, not exactly the same thought process, but it has the same nervous system regulating results that maybe a Thunder Buddy jacket has for a dog, if you've ever seen those, where it really hugs that nervous system. Compression wear for children with autism. I use these like daily. I'll use a shapewear. It's so easy. Just get some compression on that nervous system. And so I have my own way of using, I've done it with a lead rope in an emergency or something like that. But if an animal's really, really worried, I will go ahead and do that same nervous system hug on their body with like lead rope, or I actually get super soft cotton rope in a good safe measurement, and I'll wrap it around them, where you would have your girth go, and then up and above in like a circle. And in one very extreme situation, I had a horse who was terrified. I put on my version of the Madigan squeeze, and there was a 40% increase in his level of calmness. I mean, it took a load. I mean, and I was with people at the time where like, I think we need to sedate him. And I went ahead and I did this, and it was like, being so empathic, it was like, oh. And he was like, my God, I'm back in my body. Holy shit, that was so scary. And then that was as soon as I did it, as soon as I got that tension on there, he was like,
oh, cool.
And so I'll leave it on for an hour, and regulating our own nervous system. And this is again where that complex human to horse dynamic is so important, but I'll regulate my nervous system. We see this in different techniques out there too, like the trust technique. And then you do this very naturally with your animals, just like I do, but I've been learning to put the language with it. And so when you get around them, to me, what's respectful is to calm my system, pay attention to the rate of my breath, pay attention to my heartbeat. Are my feet on the ground? Can I feel the surface of my feet touching the ground? Now I can be present. And when you, as the person who controls the most of their life environment, are saying it's calm and it's safe, that takes away like 80% of the fear from them. That's the same thing as that lead mare or the true alpha going so deeply into herself that she quiets all of the voices and only hears the divine truth and says, predators to the east, let's go. And it's not, oh, maybe it's over there, I don't know, a little self-doubt, oops, don't know. It's, that's the authentic power, where it's kind of superhuman, but human. You know, it's I don't know, it's
it sounds like it's it sounds like it's where we're supposed to be as humans, and we're starting to come back to what it means. And I mean, starting to come back to, like, in our modern day, we're starting to come back to what it means. More people are starting to see what it means to be sensitive, to be empathetic, to be allowed to feel sensitive and empathetic, and sharing that gift with our animals, because our animals are naturally like that. They have a higher state of, at least has been my experience, they have a higher state of empathy and feeling and sensitivity in their bodies, just in their bodies alone, than we do. And they, I feel like they're teaching us humans collectively how to, like, how to hear them, and then it helps in our relationships with other people as well, because how can we have a positive connection with another human if we can't have one with ourselves? And many animals help bring us back to the truth of what is ourselves.
Exactly. That is a huge theme in my work. Exactly.
It's beautiful.
And it really is. The journey home.
Yes, the journey home. You're amazing.
You're amazing. Thank you.
It's been such a wonderful conversation with you. I feel like every time we connect, it's divine timing, and it's always such an amazing conversation. I love listening to you talk about your work and your animals and all the wonderful ways you're going about helping to help so many animals and bring peace to the world in such a profound, beautiful way.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
As we wrap up, is there anything more that you would like to share with our listeners before we end the recording?
With considering going back to school for a DVM PhD path, something I thought was very fascinating was I was working on a client, and I said, what is the most important thing for me to know about your physical discomfort right now? And he said, hypermobile. I'm like, okay. And there is information out in the equine industry about horses being hypermobile, especially if they've been bred for really large, graceful, exaggerated movements. Now, I wasn't exactly sure what he was asking me to do with this hypermobile. So I'm like, okay, what do you want? There's a veterinarian here on the West Coast who I've known for about over a decade, and I feel very confident if I need to refer a client out to a veterinarian, because he does such a thorough exam. It's Dr. Marty Gardner in Ione, and he's a wonderful guy, and he makes, this is probably the wildest thing that a horse person might hear, but he makes going to the vet educational and fun. Which is amazing. What a gift. And so the horse I was working on said, I gotta go to the vet. He gave me images of a hospital and the ambulance, and I'm like, okay, what do you want? What do you need? And he's like, I gotta go to the vet. I'm like, okay. You have to haul in order to go to Dr. Gardner. And I spoke with the owner. I go, hey, he's bringing up the vet. This is a veterinarian I would recommend. And my client wasn't sure if she wanted to go specifically with him or if she wanted to do something that she had found out about through people she spoke to. I said, no worries. And her horse said, it's gotta be Marty. I'm like, okay. I feel like as my job being a channel and a conduit for my client, I need to remain as neutral as possible. So I said, hey, I am getting that if we go to this veterinarian, we're going to get a lot of help. He's going to be able to complement the work that I'm doing. It's going to be in the best interest for your horse. But since you are interested in these other veterinarians, let's go ahead and ask your horse what percentage that these people are able to help him at. And for one, we got 60%, and then one, we got like 20%. And then for the one he was requesting, we had 100%. So I go, hey, these are the numbers I was getting. What do you want to do? And so we did choose to go with that. We honored the horse's choice. And the night before our appointment, because I had worked on this horse, he was having incredible results, but I knew that we needed to go here. I just knew it. And, I'm not going to do injections. I can't do x-rays. And so I really see practitioners and professionals working together as the holistic approach that's going to make sure every aspect of the animal is fully taken care of. The night before, I go, hey, what do I need to know? And he goes, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I'm like, cool. What's that? Give it a Google. I'm not familiar with all the terms. And it's pretty much a connective tissue disorder. So it's with the cartilage in between the bones. And before he said that, and then he gave me like an x-ray view of the cartilage in between the bones. And so I'm looking at it, and I can see I'm seeing his different vertebra there. I'm looking at what's between it. And I'm like, okay, interesting, like collagen and cartilage, okay. But it just felt like, yeah, there's a little piece here that we're going to have connected. So when we went to the veterinarian, I realized we were agreeing on the same thing. So Dr. Gardner, genius, said, these horses, it's in the reining industry, these horses are bred for flashy movements and flashy colors. That is what's going to get you higher points in the show pen. So that is how breeding has kind of, taken over the industry, is how can we score higher? However, that doesn't mean they were for the animal's best physical attributes. It's like in cutting horses. We would love to see a horse with a good, solid foot, but in a lot of the bloodlines, we actually got smaller feet, which with the surface area and speed they're covering, you want a bigger foot. You want that surface area. So Dr. Gardner explained he has hypermobility, and I'm like, that makes sense. This is what this horse has been talking about this whole time. And that he had created having those tissues compromised, he had a right shoulder injury, and that happens a lot in the reining industry. And so for me, I'm like, how does this connect with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and how does it connect with energy medicine, and how I could better serve the animals? And I realized with what the veterinarian said and the information I was getting, we were both talking about a genetic predisposition to hypermobility that leads to an increased volume of these type of injuries in the specific discipline. So if we were to actually look from my perspective with the medicine, we could look into what genetic patterns are we seeing that increase hypermobility, and maybe we can start to selectively breed differently in order to reduce these injuries and lengthen healthy careers for them. And with the energy medicine, there's so many different avenues of connecting. I'm going to stop there because I'm just like getting all excited.
No, it's good. It's good. I think it's beautiful, like just listening to essentially how this horse led you to this path of a more rare thing, or what was being before his diagnosis could have been seen as a rare thing, but it seems like it's a pretty common thing with like
Yeah.
what goes on with horses that are bred for the same reason. He was like just but he told you he had this whole conversation with
Yeah.
you over his body, and um it goes to show just like how powerful the energy connection is, and the um just opening up the channel for allowing healing, connection, and communication to flow through in a way that is like very conducive to healing not only this horse, but others
Yeah.
that will come after him. And yeah.
I see my perspective of animal communication is that with having done self healing and continuing and being able to quiet my internal environment, it allows me to hear the frequency of the communication.
Hmm.
So, when we're babies and we're learning language, we are applying a meaning or a value to the frequency that we're hearing. That's how we take um, frequency into words. That's going to be a vibration, and then applying that value or meaning to it. And so for me, it's kind of just like I learned a different language. And so I can tune into that frequency, and then I can translate it into a denser form, which is words, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like um understanding the feeling of the frequency that translates into how we humans conceptualize it. But
Yeah,
is the but I mean, I guess the in the communication aspect, the way that we conceptualize a definition or a meaning of something could be different than the animals, right?
absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. The benefit of listening to things on the subtle level of energy and frequencies is that we can catch things sooner. We can support animals before the injury happens. This is wild. I When I first got my Mustang, little baby Mustang, right, round belly, just came from the wild. Her poop was yellow. There wasn't quality hay where she was being held. And I take one look at her. I'm like, let's get her tested for worms. So I bring a sample of her fecal to a Western medicine veterinarian, and they say negative, no worms. I go, that really doesn't resonate with my intuition here. Well, and I will outsource clients to this when needed, but I also work with these frequency waters. So they are waters with, and it's not really an injection, but they are infused with a certain frequency to heal something. So I went ahead and did that for my Mustang. The reading came back that she had tapeworms. And I said, okay, let's do the treatment. It's 2 bottles of the water infused with the frequency specifically for this ailment. On the second bottle, my girl pooped out 2 giant tapeworms at my eye level. Amazing. So I have continuously seen energy medicine, frequency medicine, this quantum healing world pick up things that Western medicine hasn't, and also pick up things far before they become an issue. Resolve things that there's, in quotations, no cures for. I mean, it's wild. And so making that accessible and making it more normal, part of normal conversation, that looking at things that even smaller than a subatomic level is really going to prevent problems, provide solutions, and increase quality of life for human and horse. Because we are happier when our horses are healthier.
I definitely feel that on a personal level, and it's like I think it goes hand in hand. The horses will communicate with us when when it feels safe to do so. They'll let us know what they need, and we have to reciprocate that and let them know what we need, and we help each other coexist in a world that can often be difficult to exist in.
Yes,
But
exactly.
the healing is there and the energy is there, and God, the work that you do is amazing.
Thank you.
I think it's absolutely amazing in so many ways, and your ability not only to provide that help to them, but be open to sharing and receiving questions about it, and just sharing your heart fully with me through this podcast and with so many others, just through your work and your interests. It's amazing. So thank you.
Yes. I would love to leave you and the listeners with two gifts, if I may.
You may. Thank you.
Yay! So I want to give a super easy animal communication exercise to people, and this is communicating with them at an even more subtle level than actual words. So you don't have to translate it. You don't have to worry, am I intuitive enough for this or anything like that. But go ahead and put your hands on your heart. And I like to put my left over my right. That just feels intuitively right for me. And then you take a deep breath out through your mouth. And now imagine one of your horse's hearts and just breathe into that. I like to think about how cute their little pecks are, or what their colors look like, and how soft they are right there, and just kind of that little sweet soft spot while the neck connects into the chest. And then I want to ask you, did you feel a subtle energetic shift when you imagine their heart? That right there is communication on the most subtle level.
Wow.
And it's amazing.
That is amazing.
And you can do that anywhere. You can do that at Costco.
I love that.
You can do it anywhere.
That's a really fascinating sensation, and I do have experience with connecting with my horses in the quantum, if you will, just by virtue of not being there, not in my physical day to day anymore. But that sensation of having my hands here, for a moment, I didn't feel them on my body. I felt them on hers, and it was like I don't know. It felt like there was this distance from what are my hands, what I'm touching is mine, and the sensation that I felt, this is the sensation on my hands but not on my chest. And
Yeah.
I just was like, I don't know, I felt her. I felt her there. Thank
I
you.
love. Oh my goodness, yes. I usually feel just like a very instant calmness and peace, and just that deep breath of like, oh, that's exactly what I wanted. Like, that's exactly what I
So
needed.
beautiful.
And then them also being so connected to us are like, oh, good, mom's okay. And they feel peace about it too.
That's so
Um,
beautiful.
The second gift I'd love to leave you guys is for any listeners, and of course yourself, if you sign up for your first initial in-depth session, I would like to honor that, as far as if you're like, hey, I'm interested in these services. You can go ahead and apply the price of the first in-depth session to any of the packages I offer for sessions. So it ends up saving you quite a bit of money, which we all love a great deal.
Cool. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
This has been, God, this has just been such a fun conversation, and I've learned so much. It's gonna take me a bit to like fully process the conversation as it usually does, but I've had so much fun, and thank you so much for sharing these gifts with us and for sharing your heart with us and just for all of the wonderful work you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, right back at you. Of course. You're such a wonderful vessel.
You are too. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. And for all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in with us today. And yeah, and just listening and helping to support Catherine in her mission and joining us on the podcast. It's been yeah, it's been fun. We will see you on the next one.